it's Amy Carico, and today I wanted to show you guys how to make one of my simpler veils. And when I say simpler, I mean the form is fairly simple and the basic form is pretty quickly made, but this one does get a little more intricate as we finish it off. But nonetheless, it's one of the simpler ones that I do. What you're going to need for this is you're going to need your piece that you want to apply it to. I have this piece. You're going to need an X-Acto knife, a roller. You're going to need a tissue blade, and you're going to need a tiny little circle cutter. This one is super tiny, and you can see I've pre-treated it with cornstarch. Compared to my little amount of pea-sized clay, that's how small it is. I mean, it's a tiny cutter. There's the little hole. It's super small. And then you're going to need a dotting tool, and this dotting tool, I believe in a pack of 5, this is the third smallest of the ball tips, and this is the one that has the pointed, tapered, rounded silicone tip on it. So you're going to need that. Now, before I get started, I wanted to let you know what kind of clay I use. Now, I use a mixture of 50% soft cosclay and a mixture of 50% premo. And if you know anything about cosclay is very, very pliable, very bendy whenever it's cured. And that is an effect that I really desired in bales. Whenever I was experimenting making bales, I was trying to find something that was gonna stand up to wear and tear, and this is what I came up with. So what cosclay provides is a bit of give, a bit of cushion. You can see this bale that I made. It's very bendy, yet it's on there. I mean, it's on there. You can't yeah, I'm sure we could tear it off if I tried hard enough, but that's not what I'm into. So, but anyway, I don't bend my clay or anything like that, but I'm just doing this for demonstration to show you guys. So if you were to, you know, drop this piece, or if it were to get tugged on, or anything, you know, where it might have some kind of impact, as long as it's got the cosclay, it's going to have some cushion, some give, some bend, some bounce, so that whenever it drops, it's going to give before it hits and firmly, you know, shatters or cracks. And so I think you'll find that if you use some cosclay for your bales, that they'll really hold up. So what you want to do is you want to get your pea-sized amount of clay, and you want to roll it into a little log, and your log needs to be, now I don't generally measure, I'm going to measure here for you guys somewhat today so you can gauge your own technique, but about 1 inch long. You want to roll it out to about 1 inch long, about 1/8 of an inch in diameter. That should be close to 1/8. Yeah. And once you get it this size, you're going to taper the ends. So you want to gently taper the ends away from the center, and you're going to do that on both sides. And you want to get them fairly symmetrical. Now, you don't want to taper them super skinny or anything. You know, you're just kind of getting a gradual taper, gentle sloping taper. Once you get it where it looks about symmetrical, then you can roll the center swell down just a little so that it's not so bulging, so that you've got a smooth, gradual line. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take and hold your clay, and then you're going to twist it into a loop, and then you're going to take that loop and turn it. Now you want to turn it so that it's perpendicular to you and say your piece. So you want your loop to be perpendicular to the face of your piece, meaning that your loop's going this way as opposed to that way. And then you're going to pull one leg out this way and then one leg out this way, just like that. And then you can turn your loop up and you can fidget around with it. So what you want to do is you want to look at your loop. Now you can see I've got this side is kind of a bit longer than this side. To me it is. So you can kind of pull this side around and make them look more symmetrical. And that's what you want. So once you get it to this point right here, you're going to hold up your piece and you're going to find center, thereabouts, center, and you're just going to gently tap one of the sides in a little bit. And then you can just kind of press that side on a bit, and you want to hold this and then tap this side down a bit. Now you don't want to press it down hard. I mean, you don't want to smush and flatten it. You still want that gradual taper that we started with. And you can kind of press the sides so that it goes up as opposed to pressing down, and then taper it away down a little bit and pull the side down a little bit like that. And that is just for seating purposes, so you know where it's seated. And you're going to do the same thing on this side. You're going to work it till it's kind of seated in there, and then pull your loop up and then start seating more toward the loop so that you've got a nice firm hold. And you can use one of your dotting tools to smooth this if you'd like. That one needed a little bit of smoothing. And then make sure that your loop is on there straight. So when you get it to this point right here, you want to check the sides of the piece so that you can see how the loop is, how plumb it is, for a lack of a better term. You want to see if it's drooping too far this way or too far that way. Sometimes they kind of want to do this number. So you don't want it to do that. You want to make it nice and sit up straight there. So you want to check the other side, make sure you can see that it's, you know, sitting the same. Round it up. And then you want to check the front to make sure that it's straight that way. And then the back. And also make sure it's straight the way you want it. Once you get it to this point right here, you can go ahead and smooth some of it, just a little. And I don't know if you guys can hear, but my neighbors are having a fence put in, and there's some kind of crazy noise outside. So if you hear anything, that's what it is. So just to gently, you know, smooth it, make it look all nice and neat and everything. That's what you want to do. You want to get it like that. All right, once you get it to this point, you're going to actually trim these sides off. So what you want to do is get your X-Acto knife, and you're going to trim at an angle. And I usually trim just a little way up. So trim that away, and then press it back down, pull it back down, smooth it. Make sure you don't have any clay on the face or the back of your piece overlapping. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to try to get the same length that we got on that side on this side. And that looks close. And just pull that away and pull it down. There we go. smooth this out more. This one actually looks like it has a little more on that side. So let me trim a little more off of that one. I think that might be better. What do you think? So far, so good? So far, so good. Okay. So the next step in the process, we start getting into the tedious parts. And this is the part where we're going to put the belt on, the forged belt onto the piece. And before I started the video, I had rolled out this same clay on my pasta machine on a number 6. Now I have a Atlas 150. So a number 6 is like I think the next to the last, or the next to the thinnest setting I have. Mine goes to a 7, 7 being the thinnest. So this is kind of thin, not paper thin. And what you want to do is you're going to just slice a little piece away, and that might be, there we go. Not too thick. Just a smidge. And then I'm going to kind of straighten that up a bit. Oh, there, it stuck to my knife. Anyway, once you get it like that, you're going to kind of cut it in half. We're going to work with one piece at a time. And then we're going to kind of roll this a little bit with the roller, just to make it a little bit thinner. So ever so gently. And then we are going to take our X-Acto knife and we are going to round the corners off so they look more forged as opposed to machine made, because machine made items are very geometric, very straight, linear, you know, and hand forged items out of metal were never like that. So we're just going to round it up a little bit, round it off a little bit, and then we're going to pick it up ever so gently and pick up our piece. And we're going to apply it right here, sort of half on and half off. And I'm going to just lie it, well, that might be a little too long. So it's going to be at an angle because the piece is at an angle. So I lean it at an angle. I find that it kind of looks better that way as opposed to straight. But you're going to just lay it down there sort of right at the end, sort of halfway where it meets and up and halfway off. And ooh, look at me. And then you're just going to gently lay it to the back. And then once you get it on there, you can sort of, you know, fudge around with that shape, because that looks a little wonky to me, but whatever. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. I do tend to be a perfectionist. I think that most creators tend to be perfectionists in the work that they do. Okay, there's one side, and then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. So what we're going to do is flatten this out a bit. And then we're going to round our corners. Pick this one up. And apply it to the piece. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to try to get it even with where the other one is sitting. And you're just gonna gently place it and then pull this side around. And this side doesn't want to go down as far. Okay, that's okay though. I can fix that. What I'll do is I will make this one to match that one. Since that one's got less of a clay, I'm just going to trim a bit here. And a bit here. This is what I was talking about when I was saying that this is a little more tedious as I go along. Making bells can be tedious work. It's part sculpture, part skill, part patience. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I try to come up with new designs all the time. I've got several that I've done. And I just like something unique. So you just kind of sort of have to fidget with it a bit, you know. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our nail trim in. And so of that piece of clay that I had rolled out on the pasta machine, I had just, you know, cut it in half and saved a little bit to make my little nails. So what I'm going to do is hope and pray that my cutter doesn't get stuck. And I try to do this pretty quickly, and so that it won't get stuck, but we'll hold our breath. So I just need 2 of these. And it worked. So I've got those. Now if they will come away, nope, they're going to stick in there. So that's okay. We're going to cut them out. You will find that these kind of cutters can be really, really a pain to deal with. Where did that other piece go? Oh, okay. Anyway, and they, you know, if it doesn't get stuck in the cutter, then it stays in the clay after you cut it. And so you really got to have some patience to work with those little things. And I think too, because cosclay is kind of soft to begin with. Well, I do have the soft cosclay, that it's a little bit more sticky. So it tends to want to stick to itself. So, all right. So this part is going to be very difficult to see. So I am going to magnify the camera here, or zoom in a bit, and hope you guys can see. So I have my little circles here. Let me turn that one over. All right, so what you want to do is you want to take your dotting tool and you want to just gently press in the middle so that you've made a little indentation in there, like a little cup. And you're going to do the same thing to this one. You're going to try to do it in the center there and just gently press and make a little cup, a little bowl. And that's it for that. And then you're going to hold your piece. You're going to try to do 5 things at once. And you're going to pick this up. And I use my X-Acto knife because it's got that tapered end, and I just need it to not I want it to stick to my clay and not the knife, so I need as little, you know, as little holding on to the knife as possible. So it's got this tapered in and it works out pretty good. All right, and you're just going to lay it on your belt. If it'll go away from my knife, like I said, look at that. You're going to put it on there. Oh, I'm going to have to pick it up again. There we go. There we go. And then you're going to take your, the back of it, and you're going to tap it I mean, like a breath. Barely. And then you're going to take your dotting tool and you're going to tap down in there a bit. Okay. And that's just to seat it in. And you can see how that looks, hopefully. All right, and we're going to do the same thing for the other side. We're going to pick this up. Maybe. There we go. Come away. Let me sit that down for a minute so I can get this situated. And we're going to do the same thing that we did over there to this side. Am I in frame? No. Here we go. Just like that. The back of the knife. And then the tap into the actual cup to seat it. And now we can look at it, and they look fairly similar. That looks good. All right, now we're going to actually make the nail. So the nail is just a little tiny piece of clay. I mean, like the size of a poppy seed, maybe a bit smaller. I don't know. But anyway, I just, sliced a piece of clay off of that little piece there that I made the belts with. And I'm just going to take the tiniest amount of clay. I mean, that is super tiny. Super tiny. And kind of ball it up. Like that. There we go. And then I'm going to take this and drop it down in that little cup. Hopefully, with a little luck, it'll work. Look at that. And there it is. So that's my little nail. And you can just tap it in a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. We're going to get the tiniest piece of clay. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Well, oh, look, it magically just, oh, there it is. Anyway, we're going to roll this one up. I was like, oh gosh, it just magically disappeared. I mean, I was holding it, I swear I was, but it's so tiny you can't feel it almost. But anyway, we're going to get this one rolled up a bit, if I can get it. Sometimes it takes like 2 fingers to finesse it a bit. All right, so we got this one rolled. And we're going to pop this one in the cup, hopefully. Get it. Let's see. We're going to pop it right in that cup. There we go. And I'm going to look at that one. It might be a little big. Well, no, it looks okay. It's just not quite in the center. Okay. And then we're just going to tap it just a little bit. And that is the nail trim. And that looks pretty good. What do you think? Pretty good? And that's pretty much it there. Let me get this back in focus. Okay, so what I am going to do now is bake this piece. And what I use to bake whenever I have something like this is just a bowl that I have made out of foil. And all I did was just mold it over a custard cup like this. And then I take some polyester filling, batting, and I fill it in there. And then I just make a little space in the center for my piece to sit. So it's just going to sit down in there, and then I kind of gently nudge my polyfill in there, or up to the side so it'll stand up. And that's how I bake my piece. Now I will bake my piece for an hour at the proper temperature for premo. And I do bake in a preheated oven and not a cold oven. Okay guys, my piece is all done. It's been cooling for a while. This is what it looks like. Looks pretty nifty. There's the front. There's the back. And that's pretty much it. That's all I've got for you guys today. And I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new today as well. If you have any questions, please drop me a line in the comments. If you have any suggestions for any tutorials, also leave me a suggestion in the comments, and I'll be happy to reach out and see if I can manage a tutorial for you guys specifically. I will be following this video up with a video on how to get the sides to blend into the bell. Thanks for joining me. Bye.